And that was something that I actually pitched to the network. So my second year in this, I took the initiative on my own to pitch them two ideas. I pitched them that Candy Factory and Candy Coated Nights.
Come on, y'all, let's celebrate.
I've been waiting for this day this weekend. Let's celebrate.
Well, wait until you see the Candy Factory.
They did not take Candy Coated Nights. They only took Candy Factory at the time, you know, but that did not make me give up on Candy Coated Nights. I continued to do it online. I was not getting paid to do it. That's something that I did on my own. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you have to take initiative to pitch your own ideas because maybe they're not thinking about an idea for you, but you can bring it to their attention. That's one thing. Second thing, when it came to reality spinoffs, it takes more than one person to make a reality show. So just because somebody may think, oh, Kandi, you're boring, or it's more fascinating than you or whatever, it's an entire situation. You may think I'm boring, but you don't think Mama Joyce is boring. You don't think Bertha's boring. You don't think that, you know, the old lady gang as a whole. You don't.
Change says taught.
She don't give a damn.
Okay.
Show us respect.
Hold up.
You don't think the Don Juan is boring. You don't think Carmen is boring.
Bye, Don Juan. Get some water and get some rest.
Well, I hope you do too. And go get the man that left.
I will, honey.
Go get the man that left you.
It ain't no everybody. You are everybody.
You don't think, you don't Ty, you don't think the kids, you don't think, you know, it's like everybody has to be willing around you to participate and not hide themselves. Everybody has to be open. And on our show, there's a lot of people who did not necessarily be open with their stories. And so you have to be open.
But do you feel that just like basically if I can't get anything out of you for a Real Housewives season, what am I supposed to do on a spinoff?
It's a whole nother thing to it. It's like you can't make a show by yourself. So basically, Housewives, we are an ensemble cast. You may like one person more than you like the other, but the simple fact is you don't see that one person the entire time. So it just so happens that I have a lot of other things, a lot of other people in my life outside of the show who are also, you know, are willing to participate. You know what I mean? Everybody don't have willing participants in their lives that have become interesting to the fans. And that's one thing. And for two, I've been told since the beginning, we cannot have a show outside of the show. I mean, prior to now, all our shows were spin-offs or specials and not actual seasons. And the reason being is because your story and your spin-off or special cannot take away from what they can show on Housewives. So if you have something that can live outside of Housewives, fine. But if it's a storyline that they would want to see during Housewives, they do not want to take away from Housewives just to give you your own show. So mine were spin-offs. So you say, for instance, you had your wedding show. A wedding is only gonna happen once in your life. Unless also give credit to the fact I had the highest rated spin-offs than any other housewife. So regardless of what you want to say about me, that is the truth. Numbers don't lie. But the wedding was something that happened, and it was a particular time. It wasn't during Housewives taping season. It was separate, so that was something that happened separately. Our family going on a ski trip, you would never be able to do a trip with just one family. You wouldn't just take our family on a trip and do a whole show about our family during the season of Housewives.
Has Steamboat, Colorado ever seen black people?
They about to see it today.
Hey!
So that was something that could live on its own, that did not take away for what happens on the show. If in fact you do a show, there's only one person who had their own show about their own family where it was a full show and not a spinoff, which was Kim. And that was because she decided to leave the franchise.
There was no more,
Right. So she was no longer planning to be on the franchise. So that's how she was able to do her own thing. I myself have never wanted to leave the franchise. So the only way you see anything outside of that, or if there's specific things that happen that can happen separately from my storyline on the show. Escape, for instance.
You know what? Can you come? Let me talk to you for a second. Let me talk to you. You are frustrating me right now. Why? Everything that we discussed, you are totally changing.
They're not gonna be the Housewives storyline. That was a whole different story that you got to see, a part of my life that was happening, regardless of whether it happened on the show or not. You were able to see a show about it. You have to understand, in all aspects, I have tons of people in my life who are very open, very big personalities. A lot of them bigger personalities than I, and they do not mind being themselves in front of the camera. And that is the main thing that is important. I don't know how y'all feel. Y'all watch this show all the time, but you have to know that there are certain people who have not been as open about their stories, and that in turn is, you know, could stop whatever else you're trying to make happen outside of the show. Our story, we very open, constantly just putting ourselves out there, meaning me, my family, and whoever else. Oh, no, I said the only person who had a spinoff that was actual show outside of, not a special, I'm talking about actual show. Vanderpump.
Oh, Vanderpump. Oh, yeah.
right.
Vanderpump.
This season on Vanderpump Rules.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today.
Party!
She has had, well, now she's no longer on the show because of whatever reasons.
Kim has
But
Before we got
no,
together,
I said Kim decided
Kim
to
left.
leave the show. There's not been anybody who was on the show, still currently on the show, who had their own series still going, other than Lisa Vanderpump.
Right.
And the reason being is because what goes on in her restaurant, that can be a whole separate thing that does not affect her storyline on Beverly Hills. So you have to have things happening in your life that can literally keep people interested separately from your storyline on the show. You cannot take away from your storyline on Housewives to have a separate show.
Well, I think there's two things also. You need to have different world, and that is an entirely different world. And you also need to not be selfish. You can't hide, like, you've never hidden anything like, oh, we're not going to film at the restaurant because the restaurant is not, I'm not giving y'all access to it. So it's like people are already invested. They know that that's what you guys do. And it would, I think, be different if, you know how some people are like, oh, my mom's not a part of the show. She didn't sign up for this, so you can't see her. But then would want to pitch, let's me and my mom have a talk show. It doesn't connect with people because you never even opened that door to begin with.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. You made that very clear. You said it better than I said it. Yeah, it's just like you just have to be open. Not just you.
Right.
But the people in your life that will also, because basically it's still an ensemble.
Oh, definitely.
It's not the ensemble with the girls. So for me, I mean, me and the old lady gang and Todd and Don Juan and Carmen or whatever, that was an ensemble technically because they had different things to say. I don't know if anybody ever noticed this. I'm the only one who's ever had anybody outside of a husband who had their own interviews on the show. Don Juan had interviews as like he was an official friend of the show for 2 seasons straight, right?
So did your mom.
And my mother. I don't remember what season was that.
Her most recent one was 9.
Okay.
Like that was a blink of an eye yesterday.
Right.
You know, like it wasn't 2 when you started. It was 9. We gave her an entire interview look.
Right.
Like I remember scheduling her for interviews. In fact, she got in a car accident on the way to one once.
Like, right.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm just saying. It's just like, so when people say things online like, why they gonna give her that? Or why they doing this? Or what? You don't really think about the other things that go into it. I've never made any demands saying, oh, you have to give me that. Anything that I have done, a lot of things, you know, I bring to the networks or bring to producers and say, hey, this is, you know, we think this would be a great idea, or we actually, you know, write it up like you're supposed to.
Well, that's the thing too, is that you want to be this go-getter and you want to, I mean, you want everyone to benefit. You want your company to benefit, you want the employees to benefit, you want yourself, your family, your coworkers, everyone to benefit from it. But I think there's also, you and Todd both have the knowledge of what it takes to produce a TV show. And that's not saying that you have an advantage over anyone, but you know what it takes. And I guarantee you, I don't know the backstory, but I guarantee you that you guys wrote something up. You pitched it to True Entertainment. You probably pitched it to quite a few other people as well. And there was something there that then they got to,
Right.
Yeah, is that you already had an idea in mind. You know that it takes this. You need an antagonist. You need, you know what it takes. You need a beginning, middle, and end. You have to work towards a goal. Yeah, you have to have a formula, and you have to have willing people in your life, and you're really lucky to have a staff and a family that understands that as well.
Sometimes they get pissed off at me. That is no lie.
Well, don't we all? Yeah.
They get pissed off at me because they like, they put out there and they showed the da-da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, well, we did it. We said it.
Yeah.
Camera, like, what you want me to do?
Right.
But it's just like, at the end of the day, they just are themselves. And they just happen to be interesting.